Hi guys.
Yeah.
Everyone? Are you okay?
You're right, Lee.
George? Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. First, we'll have Eddie Howe. We'll have Joe Linton with you in around 15 minutes' time. If you have a question, please get my attention and we'll come to you in order. Who wants to start us off? Dominic?
Afternoon, Eddie.
Hi.
How was the journey here and how's your squad shaping up ahead of tomorrow night?
Yeah, journey was good. It was a very quick flight for us. We'll train this afternoon, just after this press conference. And the squad is in a pretty good place. Yeah, we're minus Tino Livramento. We're still awaiting feedback on the extent of his injury. But I think apart from that, we're okay.
Thank you. We'll go to Jordan next year and then to Lee just behind you. Jordan?
Is there any early indication on Tino's injuries at a long-term, medium-term, short-term?
No, I think I'm better off waiting before sort of giving any indication on that, because I think that could be a mistake. So yeah, let's wait and see in the next couple of days, I think.
You rested Nick Woltemade for the first Champions League game against Barcelona a fortnight on. Is he able physically now to play 2 games in 4 years?
We'll make a decision after training today on how all the players look physically. Arsenal was another really physical game for us, tough game, mentally of course, but physically it was a big output game for us. So we'll try and make the right decisions in terms of team selection to make sure everyone's fresh.
Okay, we'll go to Lee Ryder just behind. Thank you.
Eddie, I know you'll take it with a pinch of salt, the comments from Bayern Munich about Nick, but are you surprised the club of that stature just seem to be queuing up to make comments about his price tag?
I always think with these types of things, it's irrelevant really. The market forces dictate transfer fees, not necessarily any one club. We're very pleased to have Nick with us. I think he started very strongly in what's been a difficult period for him because he's thrust straight into action. No training time with us really of any note. And I think he's done really, really well. So we're really pleased to have him with us. And the transfer fee for me is absolutely irrelevant. And
he's also got off to a really good start as well with 2 goals, the 2 headers.
Yeah, great to see him score with his head. I mean, he is, you know, as I said, when we signed him, we know he's a big player. And that has to be a source of goals for him with the height that he brings. And it's something that we felt we could really improve. But the 2 headers are all his own work and he deserves the praise for them because they're 2, outstanding moments. And it shows that hopefully once the team services him and gives him, better balls in and around the box, there's other ways he can score as well. But that's certainly a promising start.
Thank you. We've got to Matthew Raisbeck and then to George Colkin. Matthew.
Hi, Eddie. What are the benefits to training here on the pitch ahead of tomorrow's game? Because 2 seasons ago, you didn't do that for a couple of your Champions League group matches.
Yeah, I think it all depends on lots of different things, like the journey time, how we feel about the certain training sessions, how much we want to sort of give away on our preparation. We felt coming here that getting to know our surroundings was more important. So I think it'll be an important training session for us today with the pitch and the stadium, and travel time has been minimal. So we've got here early, we'll be settled, and hopefully that will help our performance.
And what do you know about Union Saint-Gilloise, who are new to the Champions League, but won their first match and are having a really good season domestically too?
Yeah, well, I know exactly that. They've started the season very, very strongly, and a great result in the Champions League, as you say, against PSV. They're tactically interesting. They'll give us a physical threat as well. They've got 2 big strikers. Yeah, I've been very impressed by watching them play. We know it'll be a really important game in our Champions League journey, but it's going to be a tough one.
Thank you. I'll go to George and then to Greg in the front, please.
Hi, Eddie.
Hi.
Is this beginning to feel like your level now?
Well, we certainly feel in our first game, if you're looking back at the Barcelona game, we felt we gave a really good performance, but ended up with nothing and disappointing result. And there's similarities between that and the sort of the Premier League start for us, where we feel we've been really competitive and have left certain games with less than I feel we've deserved. So I feel we're competitive. We're enjoying, I think, the build-up now. We're used to it from 2 years ago. There's nothing that really is going to hopefully surprise us in that sense. And I think that can only help us then hopefully perform at a better level.
Thank you. Craig at the front.
Hi, Eddie. It's one of the nicer problems you've got at the moment, but Sven, Botman and Dan Burn both being fit and both being in good form, but they also want to play in the same position. How do you accommodate that? Do you, as you did on Sunday, do you put Dan at left back? Can you play the two of them together, even though that puts Sven to the right? Can you play three, or does it come to the point where you've actually just for the big games got to pick one of them? Just talk us through that dilemma you've got with two good players.
I can do all of those things that you mentioned, Craig. You've summed it up. I don't have to answer that.
Pick one.
Well, I will have to, won't I? And you'll see that tomorrow. But I think it's a great problem to have, in a sense that you've got two outstanding players that bring different qualities, but both perform and have performed very strongly. I just think, talking about both players, it's great to see Sven back to the form that we know he's capable of. And he's such a big player in terms of ball distribution and helping us elevate our game to another level. I think when he's in his best moment, he was fundamentally important to our rise 2 years ago. And Dan's just been, in every sense, a giant for us. And his leadership skills are invaluable to us. So Dan's played left back for us a lot. And even in a lot of games this year, although we haven't started him in that position, he's ended up playing there because of how we've pressed or how we've tactically built our game. So I'm comfortable with all of those options, and no doubt I'll use all of them through the season.
We've spent the last 2 years talking about the midfield. As you well know, it seems this year's discussion point is perhaps going to be the wingers and their contribution as well. Where do you think the four of them are at in terms of their own form and how they're gelling with Nick, or not gelling with Nick? Just talk to us about the wingers, because there is a lot of debate around those four at the moment and their form.
Yeah, I think you'd have to go down to each individual player to give a full description, and obviously I'm not going to do that. I think it's been a bit stop-start for all of them. I don't think there's been much fluency for any of the four. So I think that will be the challenge for them to bring their best performances. They're so important because they all bring something slightly different. They've all got unique qualities, but they're all going to play a massive part throughout the season. We need them firing. We need them firing in terms of goal scoring, goal creating. And ultimately, if you play with wingers, as we have done historically, if they're not performing, they hurt the system. So that's something that we really need to focus on.
Thanks, Craig. Go to Scott Wilson and then to Mark Douglas in the middle. Scott.
Is Fabian available, Eddie?
Yeah, he's back in the squad.
He's back in here in York here. And we talked at the weekend about the start and how in a lot of games you probably haven't really quite got what you deserve, and it's felt a bit up and down because of that. I mean, maybe an obvious thing to say, but is tomorrow night a game when really the result is, yes, get a performance, but are we getting towards the stage where winning a game is going to be important?
Yeah, winning is the be-all and end-all, and it's never been lost to me as manager. You can play as well as you want, but you have to try and win, and you have to try and find a way to win in all types of performance, and we've done that well for the last few years. And I think in terms of our Champions League campaign, it is important that we do that very, very quickly. Otherwise, we're going to leave ourselves too far to come. And it'll be the same in the Premier League. So I think the players know that. They're not inexperienced. They've got a really experienced group that have been through a lot together. And we know that the ultimate thing that we're judged on is how many points we get.
Thanks, Scott. Mark Douglas then to Damien Spellman. Next to you.
Eddie, last time in the Champions League, he came very close to winning an away game, but it was obviously didn't quite manage it. Is it a kind of next level to win an away game in a Champions League? Does it demand a little bit more of you as a team than it maybe in the Premier League?
Yeah, I think that winning away is as much psychological as anything else, and I think there is a step to go in any competition to do that. And I think that is what really elevates you, because then when you return home, you feel lifted from that You know, away performances and results are so important to your psychology. It's not lost on us. We know that our away form, it's a strange one because actually we've been very competitive away this year in the Premier League without the sort of the X factor that we've had historically, where you sort of feel a goal's coming or a moment's coming at any second. I haven't felt that when I've watched us, but we've been really, really resilient and defensively so strong. So I back us with the players that we have that those moments will come back. A lot of that is confidence linked, I think. But we need to start making that happen. We can't think it's going to happen. The whole group has to have that galvanising effect on each other.
Can I just ask quickly about Nick Pope as well? He received a little bit of criticism for the quick kick and obviously the corner, but he was outstanding on Sundays. Is he okay? And you kind of had a chance to speak to him.
The life of a goalkeeper, eh? I mean, it's incredible because that'd be one of the best performances from a goalkeeper I've seen up until that point, really. And of course, everyone will critique certain moments and certain decisions. I think we have to reflect that his actions in that moment are trying to help us win the game. And of course, things happen in football that then you look back on and think, well, maybe I'd have made a different decision. But same as when you're in my shoes, you don't play with hindsight. You play with your decision making in that moment with the information that you have. And I back Nick. I thought he was magnificent on Sunday.
Thank you. Damien?
Hi, Eddie. You had 3 very difficult away games in this competition 2 years ago. How have they prepared you for tomorrow night, and how does tomorrow night's challenge compare?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. The away games that we experienced, I think, made us a better team to go back to the Premier League with. Milan, Dortmund and Paris. I mean, you don't get much harder in European competition, but I think in all of those games we were really competitive again. And I think we took that back into our domestic form and grew from it, even though they weren't wins. I think now we're judged slightly differently. I think the expectation's slightly different, and I think this will be a good challenge for us at a time in the season where we know we need to perform.
Just relating to Scott's question, you have had some disappointing results this season, but to give it context, Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, 2 of them in stoppage time. Does that give it a context?
Yeah, I can say it gives context, but I know you guys won't. There's 2 ways of looking at it. You might sort of agree to that, but then ultimately we've lost the games and lost games that we don't plan to lose or expect to lose ourselves. So our expectations of ourselves are higher than that. And I think we have to push the group for more, and our expectations of ourselves have to be of the highest form. Otherwise, we'll never grow and we'll never step forward. So we will pinpoint stuff we can do better. We will expect us to deliver better. And I think that's a healthy expectation to put on the team.
Okay. Damien, just to your right, please, to Kieran.
Good afternoon. Obviously, the manner of the defeat to Arsenal could be a danger of a hangover. Have you sensed the players are kind of desperate to get going again?
Yeah, I don't necessarily feel that in a sense of a hangover. I think for me it should be a motivator. It should be if you could replay those moments again, we would have to do better as a group and respond better to the threat that we faced in those final few minutes. The game hinged on, as it always does, on big moments, and there's other sort of moments happen in the game that I could say, oh, we were slightly unlucky with this or that. But ultimately, we needed to do better in those last few minutes. And that, in the end, would have probably been a very good point to take forward into this game. But it didn't happen. And yeah, as I say, we have to use that as motivation now to go again, regroup, and come back stronger.
We've seen players historically maybe get weighed down by the price tag. It doesn't seem to have affected Woltemade.
No, I don't think he's that kind of character. I don't think he necessarily overthinks things too much, which is a really big strength. I think look, whatever we've paid for him is irrelevant. It's going to be what he's going to be judged on is how he performs in the team and what he gives to the club going forward. So I would urge any footballer to try and dust that off. But it's easier said than done, because I've seen players myself be weighed down by either the fee or the expectation. But he's very relaxed. It looks like he's enjoying his football, enjoying being here, and ultimately that's key.
Thank you. Finish with the 2 gents on the front row.
Good afternoon.
Hey.
Union, name-wise, isn't the biggest team in the Champions League. In the past as well, a lot of teams have underestimated them. How will you avoid that happening to your side as well?
Yeah, we certainly don't underestimate anybody, and I think that comes down to fundamentally our reviewing of our opponents, which I'll do personally, as I always do. And it's a case of judging strengths and weaknesses and then figuring out a way to try and be competitive in the game and ultimately win. But I think for any team to be at this level and to be top of their league and playing in the way that they are, demand respect. Full credit to everyone connected with the club, because it's been a dramatic rise and sustained success. It's not been just one season. You know, they were knocking on the door to win the league, then they've won the league, and now deservedly in the Champions League. So, no, we'll be fully focused and fully ready.
Thank you. Martin, to finish.
Hi, Eddie. Are Newcastle United a Champions League club now? And if so, what's the next step?
Well, we're a Champions League club for this season. Whether that goes into next year, time will tell. I think we will enjoy this experience. We will try to evolve and improve. But ultimately, we want to, and I said this right at the start, we want to progress into the next stage of the competition. So we're not necessarily looking at, are we a Champions League club? You know, going into the future, it's about trying to make the most of this moment right in front of us.
And is it your first time at this ground? And is there a different element that it's not Union's home ground?
Yeah, it's my first time here. Yeah, obviously we've had time to prepare and think about that, but ultimately it will still be a very home-based crowd, and I'm sure they'll be very supportive to them. So I don't see a lot really that changes from a normal away game for us. We'll have our following with us, and I'm sure they'll be amazing as they always are. And I think it's up to us to get them involved in the game.
And last one, you touched upon it there. How impressed have you been with what they've done here at this football club?
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, sustained success is very difficult in any league. Obviously very well run and well managed. The recruitment's been very good. You have to get all those things right for the dramatic rise that they've had. Yeah, and full credit to everyone here.
Thanks, everyone. That concludes this part of the press conference. You'll be joined by Joe Linton very shortly. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Nice to see you all.
Hello.
Thank you.